for the attainment of my cherished, cherished desire. So we are studying Vedantasara. Vedanta is gist of Veda, the crux of Veda, and Sara, that this book, when followed, we understand what are the main points, what are the salient points, important points. So it is like filling the whole ocean in a pitcher. हिंदी में बोलते हैं गागर में सागर भरना. So we'll see, we are seeing it, but we can see further. So in this section, what we are doing, in the first section, we have seen who is competent student, who can study this, what is the content, what is the subject matter, or what is the subject matter, and what is the procedure to achieve it. So this section, it is superimposition and de-superimposition. Why the same truth is seen in so many ways. To find that on which the substratum, on which the whole world is seemingly reflected like this, so we need to know what it is, what it looks like, and how to negate that. If we can do that, then we can find that truth. So what we see, but what is erroneous seeing, that is being explained here. So before going to our text, let us go back to our reading the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, the real nature of man. David.
This is the one fact that comes out of every scripture and of every mythology, that the man that is a degeneration of what he was. This is the kernel of truth within the story of Adam's fall in the Jewish scripture. This is again and again repeated in the scriptures of the Hindus. The dream of a period which they call the age of truth, when no man died unless he wished to die, when he could keep his body as long as he liked, and his mind was pure and strong. There was no evil and no misery, and the present age is a corruption of that state of perfection. Side by side with this, we find the story of the deluge everywhere. That story itself is a proof that this present age is held to be a corruption of a former age by every religion. It went on becoming more and more corrupt until the deluge swept away a large portion of mankind, and again the ascending series began. It is going up slowly again to reach once more that early state of purity. You are all aware of the story of the deluge in the Old Testament. The same story was current among the ancient Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Chinese, and the Hindus. Now, human language is the attempt to express the truth that is within. I am fully persuaded that a baby whose language consists of unintelligible sounds is attempting to express the highest philosophy. Only the baby has not the organs to express it, nor the means. The difference between the language of the highest philosophers and the utterances of babies is one of degree and not of kind. What you call the most correct, systematic, mathematical language of the present time, and the hazy, mystical, mythological language of the ancients differ only in degree. All of them have a grand idea behind, which is, as it were, struggling to express itself. And often behind these ancient mythologies are nuggets of truth. And often, I'm sorry to say, behind the fine, polished phrases of the moderns is errant trash.
Okay, just a minute. Uh, here Swamiji is comparing the mythological stories and also the truth behind. This is beauty of Swamiji. Swamiji negated nothing. Once Rabindranath told or wrote that in Vivekananda everything is positive, nothing negative. Even the most gross ideas, Vivekananda will find some nugget of truths in that. So Swami Vivekananda, this is what he is going to do, that what is original or the substratum, that same truth is expressed in mythological way or with some figures, with some stories in a different way. But behind that truth is one. So that is what is being said here. And Swamiji found truth even ordinary superstitious ideas. What is the source of that apparently superstitious things? And later he told also that the truth is one. We perceive the same truth according to our study, according to our perception. When the mind is in gross, we see gross. When mind is in subtle environment, then we see subtle truths. And the same thing happens when we see the spiritual, then we can see, unify the whole thing. For example, say like our phone, smartphone. A child will see only the outer covering, outer shape, color, etc. But a person who knows how to handle it, how to use it for various purposes, he can use those and he knows better. A software engineer knows better because he knows how these various software works. And a scientist would see in a different way, would see that what is the metallurgy, what is the components, how the silicon and the chips are made, all the details. So it depends on our mental state, where we are. We can see subtler truths accordingly. So through stories we can say, okay, this is a wonderful hand machine by which we can talk, we can see videos, we can hear music, all kinds of things. So same thing expressed in different ways, in mythological way and also like philosophical way. The behind those things, the same truth is existing, the substratum. Yes. David.
So we need not throw a thing overboard because it is clothed in mythology, because it does not fit in with the notions of Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so of modern times. If people should laugh at religion because most religions declare that men must believe in mythologies taught by such and such a prophet, they ought to laugh more at these moderns. In modern times, if a man quotes a Moses or a Buddha or a Christ, he is laughed at. But let him give the name of a Huxley, a Tyndall, or a Darwin, and it is swallowed without salt. Huxley has said it. That is enough for many. We are free from superstitions indeed. That was a religious superstition, and this is a scientific superstition. Only in and through that superstition came life-giving ideas of spirituality. In and through this modern superstition come lust and greed. That superstition was worship of God. And this superstition is worth the worship of filthy lucre, of fame or power. That is the difference.
Yeah, lucre or of fame or power.
To return to mythology, behind all these stories, we find one standing supreme, that man is a degeneration of what he was. Coming to the present times, modern research seems to repudiate this position absolutely. Evolutionists seem to contradict entirely this assertion. According to them, man is the evolution of the mollusk, and therefore what mythology states cannot be true. There is in India, however, a mythology which is able to reconcile both these positions. The Indian mythology has a theory of cycles, that all progression is in the form of waves. Every wave is attended by a fall, and that by a rise the next moment, that by a fall in the next, and again another rise. The motion is in cycles. Certainly it is true, even on the grounds of modern research, that man cannot be simply an evolution. Every evolution presupposes an involution. The modern scientific man will tell you that you can only get the amount of energy out of a machine which you have previously put into it. Something cannot be produced out of nothing. If a man is an evolution of the mollusk, then the perfect man, the Buddha man, the Christ man, was involved in the mollusk. If it is not so, whence come these gigantic personalities? Something cannot come out of nothing. Thus we are in the position of reconciling the scriptures with modern life. That energy which manifests itself slowly through various stages, until it becomes the perfect man, cannot come out of nothing. It existed somewhere, and if the mollusk or the protoplasm is the first point to which you can trace it, that protoplasm somehow or other must have contained the energy.
So what Swamiji is saying here, that evolution presupposes involution. That means whatever is evolving, it must be involuted first. So the example is given as Swamiji gave in other place, quoting Yoga Sutra, Tata Tatos Kshetrikbat, like it is like field. When you remove the obstacle, then water gushes to the field. Similarly, when obstruction is removed, then the divinity that is already involved will evolve. The divinity that's gradually evolving, when it is already there, only thing it is not evolved, as it were. So here, what is the context here? Let us give some examples, then it will be clear. Of course, we have many times we have quoted this. Like if a child see a movie and there is fire, or maybe something very ferocious or frightening, a child may be frightened, but adults will see and enjoy because they know that it's a movie. So they know the substratum, though they are also enjoying. So various level of enjoyment. We know in Mahabharata there was when Yudhishthir got Khandaprasth, so he with the help of Mai, that's Mai is a beautiful celestial like builder. He built a Maya say building, very nice. So when it looks like it is water, but actually there is no water. And where there it looks like carpet, but actually it is not carpet, it's water. It's Maya Mahal or whatever the name is. So Duryodhan he thought it is water, so he was not going. But where the maid servant was going through, and where he thought it's a carpet, and somebody stopped him, but still he did not listen, and he fell down in water. So we see something apparent, and it looks so real, but we are to see the truth behind. Now, what is exemplified by this? Say like this: we have body, and we have bodily pain, we have mind, we have anxiety, we have kinds of many tensions, etc. And we identify so much that we cannot come out of it. But removing all these, we have to see what is behind. So it is like we have that stock example. A rope looks like a snake, so we have to remove that snakeness and see the rope. That requires training. That is why what we are trying to see. Though this world looks so real, and this body so real, but this is only a notion, experience. And when we are engrossed in this, it looks like it is real. And we have sense of doership, enjoyership, karta, bhokta. So all this happens. But we have to find out what is behind this apparent self. What is the real self? What is the real man behind? That is what we are trying to look at it. So how we can see this? First we have to see what we see. And then we have to try to find out what is not seen. For that we need to negate. So what we see, if it is permanent, then it is real. But it is not permanent. And whatever is not permanent, not trikala abadhita, which is not, it cannot be obliterated in time, space, and causation, then that is real. So we have to find out that. How to find that? It's not easy task. So here what is being said, what we see. What we see, if we analyze, we can see this way. There are something which is gross, and something behind that is subtle. See, like gross, this table is gross, this chair is gross, this my body is gross. But behind that is subtle, like my thoughts, subtle. And there must be something causal. See, why we need to repeat the same thing? Because we mingle, because of our inattentiveness, not putting proper attention, we forget. That is why we need to remember over and over again, remind ourselves over and over again. So something is gross, something is subtle, something is causal. Now, individually it is true, like my body is gross, and my mind, intellect, and the vital forces, these are subtle. Behind that, the sheath of bliss, that is causal. And behind that is that real being. In its presence, everything functions. In its absence, nothing functions. Similarly, in outer world also we can find the gross world, subtle universe, and also causal universe. But behind that is the same truth, same consciousness, because In its presence, everything happens. Now, same thing, this was recited by Shankaracharya. What he recited, what he composed, Mano buddhyahankar chittani naham na cha srotra jive na cha ghana netre. So what is this? I am not mind, intellect, thought or ego. Not hearing, taste, smelling or sight. Not ether or earth, fire or air. I am the soul of knowledge and bliss. So this will help in our meditation. Then what we really are? What we really are? I am Shiva. I am Shiva. That is our real nature. And similarly, he goes on. I am not that which is called prana, nor the 5 vital hairs, nor the 7 components of the body, nor the 5 sheaths, nor the 5 organs of action. I am the soul of knowledge and bliss. I am Shiva. I am Shiva. So, first we have to see what we are not. And then we have to identify what we really are. What is how we know this? Whatever is seen is temporary. But the seer is permanent. And I am that seer. And whatever is seen, whatever comes and goes away, that is temporary. So here, that 6 stanzas that we know, it's very famous. Through that we can understand what we are not. And the same thing is being discussed here. So, first we have to identify what we see, what we experience in this world. So we are in that series, we are going on. So we go to the text. 92 we have completed. So ashaisa samashtihi sthula prapanchopekshaya sukshmatvat sukshma shariram vijnanamayadi koshatrayam jagrata vasanaya mayatvat sapnaha atayeva sthula prapancha laya sthanani cha uchyate. Now, Vyashti, individual, Samashti, collective. Because we see outside, so how that can be explained? So, we have that aggregate of all individuals. Example was given like forest and individual tree. Aggregating or by the addition of individual trees, we have the whole forest. So if we know one tree, then we know that there are so many trees, so this is forest. So here, this aggregate made up of the 3 sheets, such as Vijnanamaya Kosha. What is Vijnanamaya Kosha? 5 sense organs with intellect. Like we have seen this one. So Gyanendriyas, so 5 sense organs, mind and intellect. Mind, why mind? Because mind also acts like 11th Indriya. And this is Manomaya Kosha also. So when through intellect we experience, mind must be there, otherwise we cannot experience. And as we know, mind, intellect, ego, and also mind stuff, chitta. These are one entity, it's not different. Only function wise we separate. So this is called Vijnanamaya Kosha. Is called the subtle body as it is finer than the gross universe. Why? Because see, like this gross universe outside or this body is gross. It cannot function as intellect does. Um, so this aggregate made up of the three sheets. Let us go back. This aggregate made up of three sheets such as Vijnanamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha and Pranamaya Kosha, which forms the limiting adjunct. So, what is the limiting adjunct? It is limiting the individual self. Now, kosha means sheath means covering, but covering is not like this we have covering. It is totally covered. No. Say, if you want to see screen behind the movie, only what we need to do, you have to put your attention to the screen. Then you cannot see the movement and the movie. But when you want to enjoy a movie, then you cannot see the screen. When you see ornament, you forget to see gold. But gold is already there. So this covering means in our understanding. It is not physical covering. So this is and limiting adjunct. Limiting adjunct means adjunct means upadhi. Upadhi has no connection, no bearing with the truth, but it gives a notion. Example, Kakavantam Griham. Like if you ask someone, where is Mr. A lives? Then he said, you see that crow flying just below that. Or you know that tree, if you want to know where is that river, you'll say that tree just below this. So river and tree have no connection, but it gives some notion that it must be there. It has no connection with the tree. River has no connection with the tree, but gives only an indication. That's called upadhi, limiting adjunct. It is also called the dream state. Which forms the limiting adjunct of Hiranyagarbha. So what is Hiranyagarbha? Whatever is the causal. Causal is Hiranyagarbha. So three things are there. One is causal, that's Hiranyagarbha, and when it is subtle, it is called Sutratma. Causal is Ishvara, and Hiranyagarbha is the subtle, and Virat is when it is manifested outside. And similarly, Prajna, and when it is subtle, then Tejas, and Vishwa. Vishwa means whatever is gross, so individually and collectively. So here, because it is being said what is subtle, that is why it is being said Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha samavartat agre. So from subtle everything comes out and manifests. So it's called Hiranyagarbha is called the subtle body, as it is finer than the gross universe. It is also called the dream state. It is also called dream state. In dream state also, we have subtle functions, and it is not gross like this in our waking state. Consists of impressions of the waking state. So, waking state, like Jagat, like we have now, when you go to sleep, then it is subtle world, subtle functions goes on. And for that very reason, it is known as the merging place. So, Layasthanam. What happens? In daytime, when we are awake, we act in this world. The gross merges in subtle when you go to sleep. Similarly, this whole Virat merges in Hiranyagarbha. And the next morning, the reverse things happen. From Hiranyagarbha, the whole Virat comes out. So this is the theory. As it consists of impressions of waking state, and for that very reason it is known as the merging place for the gross universe. We'll go forward. Etat vyashtyupahitam chaitanyam. Now, upahita chaitanya. Chaitanya, that means without chaitanya nothing happens. So that was collective. Now, what happens to the individual person? Etat, the consciousness associated with each individual subtle body is known as Taijasa. Taijasa, why Taijasa? Because it is effulgent, full of light, on account of its being associated with the effulgent inner organ, Antakaran. So, like we can understand this subtle. So it is illuminating. It is like it lights up, as it were. That is why it is called Taijasa. So individually Taijasa, and collectively it is called Hiranyagarbha. You see, like here we find in Vedantasara, all the scriptures, whatever we read through various scriptures, is well explained here. Many times it is called Hiranyagarbha, many times it is called, say, Virat. So what are those things? So here it is being explained. So we go forward. Consciousness associated with each individual subtle body is known as Taijasa. So subtle body, Taijasa. And when subtle aggregate individuals, that's called Hiranyagarbha. So Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Virat. Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Virat. It is collective. Individually it is Pragyaha. Pragyaha and Taijasa and Vishwam. Okay. We go forward. Asyapi yam veshtihi sthula sharira apekshaya sukshmatvat iti hetoho. Because it is subtler than the gross. Our mind is subtler than this gross body. That's why it is called Taijasa. The individual limiting adjunct of Taijasa 2, made up of the three sheaths. Three sheaths on that Vijnanamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, and vital forces. That means Pranamaya Kosha. Vijnanamaya Kosha, intellectual sheath, sheath of intellect, sheath of mind, and sheath of vital forces. So this is subtle body. See, everything is to be taken. All the Panchakosha and the Panchakosha Viveka. Panchakosha Viveka means I am not five koshas. I am not five sheaths. I am beyond that. That's my real nature. That is why it helps in our meditation. Otherwise, we can repeat the mantra, mind goes here and there. But when we concentrate, we put our mind at the feet of our Ishta. And when mind wants to take us to various places, various koshas, we say, no, I am not that. I am that self. So this way it helps. The individual limiting adjunct of Taijasa 2, made up of the three sheaths, such as Vijnanamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, and Pranamaya Kosha, is called the subtle body. as it is finer than the gross body. It is also called the dream state as it consists of the impressions of the waking state. So dream state, in dream also what happens? The whole impressions that we gather in our waking state, it merges in our dream state. And for that very reason it is known as the merging place for the gross body. You know, when we are in dream state, we don't remember this gross world or gross body. We dwell in dream state. So where does it go? It merges in dream state. Eto Shutratma Teijasau Tadanim Manovrittivihi Shukshma Vishayanubhavatah Pravivuktam Pravivakta Bhukte Tejasa Bhuk Pravivikta Bhuk Tejasa. That means the Sutratma or Tejasa. This is also called Sutratma. Why Sutratma? Because it is like thread. Thread in all the individual being, say like all the self as it were. Whatever is created in our dream, there this dream body or subtle body is pervading. That is why it is called Sutratma. The Sutratma, the Tejasa and Tejasa at that time, through subtle functions of the mind, experience the subtle objects. So there it is not gross. We don't eat, gross food that time. It is subtle. I mean, even we eat, what we eat? Only subtle. The notion, as it were. The functions of the mind experience the subtle objects. Witness such Shruti passages as Tejasa is the enjoyer of subtle objects. So what happens? Consciousness should be covered with these three sheets. And that is why the idea comes that I am enjoying dream. I am sleeping, I am enjoying dream. This happens when it is with consciousness. Similarly, Hiranyagarbha also. It creates as it were the whole world. So, Chaitanya Upahita or this three sheets should be accompanied with Chaitanya. Chaitanya must be present. Otherwise, it cannot exist. So, the Sutratma or Tejasa at the time, through subtle functionings of the mind, experience the subtle objects. Witness such Shruti passages as Tejasa is the enjoyer of subtle objects. So this is called Pratibhasika. When we interact in this world, it is called Vyavaharika or transactional. But in our dream state, what happens? That is Pratibhasika. It is as if experienced. Pratibhasika, as we see the image in the mirror, or we can say illusory. So this is what we can see. Tasmad esha prabhivakta ahara tara hihaiva bhavati. Therefore, he, Tejasa, takes finer food as it were than the corporeal self. That means Vaishwanara. So what is corporeal? The gross body. So this is Sutratma or Tejasa. Sutratma. Why Sutratma? Because it pervades all dream state a created being. Whatever is created in dream state, it pervades the whole thing. That's why it is Sutratma. So, is it okay? Okay, we go forward, and if you have any question, you can ask in between also. अत्रापि समष्टि व्यष्ट्योः तदुपहित सूत्रात्मा तेजसयोः वनवृक्षवत् अवच्छिन्न आकाशवत् च जलाशय जलवत् वा जलवत् तद्गत प्रतिबिंब आकाशवत् च अभेद. So what does it mean? Let us translate. Here also the aggregate means collective and individual. Individual means each one. Subtle bodies are identical like the forest and its trees. So it is not that two are there. We can see individually first, and then we extend that universal form also. And these two are not different. It is the same thing individually and collectively. So here also the aggregate and individual subtle bodies are identical like a forest and its trees, or like a lake and its waters. See, in lake, individual drops of water will be there. When it is collected, then it is lake. So, similar. And the Sutratma and Tejasa, which have those bodies as their limiting adjuncts, are also identical like the spaces enclosed by a forest and its trees. So example is given, like an individual tree, it has a space, little space. And the forest also in bigger space. So space there and space here are not different. That is being said. Are also identical like the spaces enclosed by a forest and its trees, or like the skies reflected in the lake and in its water. So like we can see a lake where the sky is reflected, and on one single drop sky is reflected. So reflected sky is the same. That is being said here. Evam Sukshma Sharirotpattihi. So this is Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. So what is the process that is going on? To identify how same thing is being projected as many, and also in causal, subtle and gross bodies. Now, sthula bhutani to panchikritani. Now, how the individual and also gross things have come, individual and collective both. The nature of the gross bodies. But the gross elements are all compounded. Okay, let me forward this one. '93, '97. Yes, 98. 98. So, sthula bhutani to panchikritani. Now, how this subtle becomes gross? You know, hydrogen is subtle. Oxygen is subtle. And not only that, oxygen helps in burning, oxidation, and hydrogen burns itself. But if you join these two, then becomes water. That means subtle, when comes closer, then becomes the gross. The same thing that here idea bit different but similar. Whatever we see gross, actually it is not gross. If you analyze, like we see this or touch this, but all the perceptions are subtle. It looks gross, like we walk in a room, but that's our impression. I touch something. How I know? I know because that is a sensation that I receive, and that sensation is processed in my mind. And only I identify. But somehow, if it is that brain center is pithed or drugged or anesthetized, then I cannot recognize. Though it may be there. So sensation, because of sensation, we identify. So here, how the subtle comes closer and becomes gross. So that's called panchikaranam. Panchi means five. Mixture of five, panchikaranam. But the gross elements are all compounded. So how compound happens? So panchikaran means one, say like akasha, space. Space has got half of space, subtle space, and one-fourth of all four. Kshiti, up, tej, marut. Kshiti means gross, up, liquid, energy, tej means energy, and vayu means gaseous. So one-fourth, no, one-eighth, one-eighth. So 4/8, that means half, and one half. That makes gross element, akasha. Similarly, air. Air has got subtle air half, and all four, 1/8. That means 4/8 means half, and half of its original. So this way, kshiti, up, tej, marut, vyom. Kshiti means whatever we see gross. Gross means this the material that we see. You know, with scientists, they are now studying. Now gradually, there is nothing gross. They are trying to find. And the atom, they analyzed atom, and they found the nucleus and electron is moving around the nucleus. And the space is like, comparatively, it is like Earth and the moon. Such is the proportion. And even first they thought the nucleus is compact and the material, but there also gradually they are finding nothing. But somehow we have this experience. So we take as it is. So panchikaranam tu akashadi panchaka ekaikam dvidha samam vivajya. So let me translate. Read the translation. Panchikaranam, the compounding takes place thus. Each of the five elements, that means akasha, ether, vayu, air, teja means energy, and jala, that means watery or liquid, and kshiti means whatever is solid. So one half of that, each of the elements, five elements, ether, etc., is divided into two equal parts. Of the 10 parts thus produced, 5 being the first half of each elements are each subdivided into 4 equal parts. Then leaving one half of each elements to the other half is added one of these quarters from each of the other 4 elements. Actually, I told that way. The half of that element and 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. So how much? 4/8. That means half of other 4. When it mixes up, then it becomes gross. We'll go forward. This is a little, it requires some attention, so we can go forward. Taduktam didha vidhaya chaikaikam chaturtha pratamam punah swastretara dvitiyanshair yojanat pancha panchati. Thus it has been said, by dividing each element into 2 equal parts. So each one divided into 2. So that means 1/4. So 4 by 8. 4 by 8. So that is half. And subdividing the first half of each element into 4 equal parts. So say another. So first Akash Ithar. So 8 parts. So 4 of that 8 part, and here 1/8. So when 1/8 and other 4 are 1/8, then it is that becomes 4/8. So that becomes 1 gross. Thus it has been said, by dividing each element into 2 equal parts and subdividing the first half of each element into 4 equal parts, and then adding to the other half of each elements one subdivision of each of the remaining 4, each element becomes 5 in 1. So anyway, this is what the gist what I said. Same thing is being said here. Any question?
Swami, really quick, I just want to clarify. Up in here, 100 on the sloka, it said, it's been said, by dividing each element into 2 parts and subdividing the first half of each element into 4 parts and then adding to the other half of each element, one subdivision of each remains in the 4. Each element becomes 5 and 1.
Yeah.
And then you said in 101, the authoritativeness of this method of compounding should not be questioned, for the triple combination described in the Shruti indirectly refers to that. Could you speak about that part? How the Shruti says this is the correct way to do it?
No, let's say like let me figuratively explain.
Murders?
Ah,
So is it like taking 1/2 of the tanmatra and 1/8 of each tanmatra and making a sense organ?
subtle. Yeah, tanmatra.
Subtle or
Tanmatra actually is a part. Tat matra, tanmatra.
like, yeah.
But subtle, when it is mixing up, then it is becoming gross. Like this. The theory is like this. If you can see, like this is a whole circle. So like this. What you have to do, can you see this one?
No,
Yeah.
very tiny.
Tiny.
Okay, I'll come closer. You also?
thank you to the tech person who's trying to overcome this.
Let's see.
মেবি কলম দিয়ে করলে দেখা যাবে, পেন্সিল ইজ টু লাইট।
ন্যাকামো করে সব সময়।
Now, okay, like this. Eta?
Better.
Yeah, come closer. Just a minute. Okay, that's okay. Just a minute.
Okay,
Okay, just a minute.
let's look. We're waiting. It's okay, not to worry.
No, no, that's it. Yes. This is the Panchika.
Ah,
Yeah, we can see now, yeah.
Now can
yeah.
so like this is part. So one half of that element, like akasha, this half of akasha, and four, one eight, one eight, one eight, one eight. That means 4/8. So that makes another half. So this will be gross when it is like admixture like this. So this will be gross akasha. Now similarly we can take vayu. Vayu means air. Half of vayu, air, and 1/4, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8 of remaining 4. So 4/8, 4/8 means half. 4/8 means 1/2. So half, and the element that being created as growth. So this is a kind of theory. As also we have so scientific theory. Similarly, this is a kind of theory. You can say how it looks like growth, but actually it is all subtle. But it is as if it is admixture. So half of this, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, that is 4/8 means another half. So then it is Panchikita. The subtle part of half of this and all 4, so that makes another half. So this is a kind, there is another process called Trivritti Karnam. Like Panchikarna, there we have 3 elements. So this is the way to understand how.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How
Maharaj, did you talk about Panchakarma? Did I miss something in that, or was I misunderstanding?
Panchi Karanam. Panchi means 5,
Right.
and when it is getting mixed up, then it is Panchi Karanam. So Didha Vidhaya Chaikakam. So first it is half. Half means 4/8. So each one to be divided into half, and Chaturdha, Prathamam Punah. So Chaturdha means fourth of that. So 1/8. 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. That becomes 4/8. That means another half. When it is mixed up like this is, like I give example, how hydrogen and oxygen, both gaseous, but when you mix up, then it becomes water, gross. Similar, you can just think of it. Like how our rishis thought about it. When you are not moving, you are in akasha. Then you start moving, you can feel vayu. And when you are running or moving fast, then you feel energy also. And when you are running that way, then you'll sweat. And with sweat comes the that dirt also comes. So this way they could imagine this way, that how the growth has come, this earth has come, the water or liquid and gaseous, all the states have come. So this way, but actually what happens, say, when you concentrate, when you are meditating, this whole world first from gross becomes subtle, from subtle only a causal impression that also vanishes. As Swami Vivekananda composed a beautiful song, Samadhi. So Samadhi, so first that so many entities, so many jivas are present there. Gradually those merge in ego, and that ego also vanishes. Then what remains? Bojhe pran, bojhe jar. He understands who understands. Tahe boshe katho jaro jivo prani, sukho dukho jala jivano, like that. There are so many experiences. As you concentrate, gradually gross becomes subtle, subtle becomes causal, and causal also disappears in supreme cause. What remains there? That is to be known by the knower. That means knower itself, consciousness.
Maharaj, so this, when you say it become gross, that means the pancha, panchabhut, or I'm trying to
Panchabhuta,
understand there.
Panchabhuta.
Panchabhut, okay.
Panchabhuta. What is tanmatra? When
Tanmatra is the subtle, right?
subtle portion comes to your eyes or ears or your sensation, then only you experience. How you see, that red color, something comes and hits, or you extend your sensation and you interact with it. So whatever interacts, that is called tanmatra. Like
Yeah.
some smell,
Fragrance.
fragrance. So something comes to your nose and you experience, oh, beautiful fragrance. Or there must be some Daphne here. So how you know that? Because some sensation comes to your sense organ, you identify it, and that is called tanmatra. But here, pancha bhuta, pancha mahabhuta, very subtle. See, where sometimes you are sitting and it vivifies, it becomes like a really color. If you have impression very strong, then you can experience even something gross. That is why those who are a bit abnormal, they think that somebody is there. Some gross entity is there. So this happens because of mind. Because of mind solidifies as it were. I mean, that panchikaranam happens that time. And one has to experience this. Like you are sitting and you are thinking of something, then that becomes a reality as it were. So this is what we can explain, that it is subtle which becomes grossified, or it becomes gross. Similarly, we experience this gross world.
Swami,
Yes.
how does this help us to understand this in our spiritual life?
Okay. How, see, like what we experience, it is all gross. I mean, that gross world, and then how you experience, that is through your subtle body, like that means through intellect, say Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya. Vijnanamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha and Pranamaya Kosha. Kosha means as if it is covering. Kosha. But it's not covering like this cloth is covering. It is something is being created and you are identifying with it. Like body has sensation, then we feel, oh, my say stomach is aching, or my um, uh, feet is aching. So these are sensation. So if you can identify it, and you can identify you are the experiencer, by segregating that, by segregating experiences, you have to identify what you are really. So that helps. At least even this will help you negating all your suffering. Mostly we suffer because of our identification. So many people are dying. We are not worried about it. But as soon as that person who has died is our own relative, then we are affected. So that means if we can separate ourselves, then we are not affected. That's why Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yah. Sanga, attachment. Attachment is to be avoided. Then asanga sastrena dridhaina chitva. Like one should cut asunder all the attachment that happens because of our association. So this way it helps us. When you can identify, oh, what is gross, what is subtle, what is causal, and I am not that. I am not 5 she's. I am not what I experience in my waking, dreaming, or dreamless state. Those experiences are not me. I am the witness. I am not attached with them, asanga. That is why asanga is very important. Asangoham, asangoham, asangoham. So I am not attached with anything. So that is how to meditate on the self. How we do? We concentrate on our Ishta, chosen ideal. And we try to merge in that Ishta. That means, same thing, we are negating all gross, subtle and causal. That is our individual. You know, how, say like David, yes, Swamiji, yes, Swamiji, what can I do? Who is this, the person who reacted? It is the subtle body, or Karan, that we say Linga Shariram. Subtle and causal. The causal is when it is not even perceptible. You won't perceive what I said. So it is subtle. That gives us kartritva, bhoktritva. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. Say I am speaking. Who is speaking? I am conscious, but conscious being in presence of limiting adjunct. What is that? My intellect and sensory organs. When it is interacting, then I feel, oh, I am interacting. But actually, I am not attached with the sensory organs or my intellect. I am the consciousness. So one has to separate it. By separating this, if we can separate, so this is a kind of meditation. That means one should separate oneself and feel that I am that, not feel, to be. I am that consciousness. I am that being. That is what we have in the beginning we said that mano buddhi ahankar chittani naham nacha sotra jibhe nacha ghrana netre. Then what I am? Chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. So this is the practice that one has to do. But what we do, we have our chosen ideal. As we meditate on the ideal, all other things drops away. Same thing, but in a different pathway. Okay. We'll stop here. Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maharaj.
प्रणाम महाराज
Namaskar.
जय माता
Oh, the Akshay.
Akshay,
Akshay, do you have any?
No.
Okay. So you know that you asked last time, what is Virat, Tejas? So Virat is the gross world when it is taken collectively, and when it is subtle, that will we call Hiranyagarbha, and when it is causal, we call Ishvara.
right?
So Chaitanya Upahita, this causal body, that is what we call Ishvara. Chaitanya Upahita, gross, a subtle body, we call Hiranyagarbha. And Chaitanya Upahita, gross body, we call Virat. Individually, Chaitanya Upahita, subtle body, we call Pragya. Chaitanya Upahita, subtle body, we call Tejasa. Chaitanya Upahita, gross body, we call Vishwa. These are the technical terms. And what is the gross, subtle and causal body, that also we have explained. Gross body we understand, Annamaya Kosha. What is subtle body? Pranamaya, Manomaya and Vijnanamaya. And what is causal body? With sheath of bliss. Sheath of bliss. Again, this sheath is not covering like this, but covering like ornament, name of the ornament and form of the same gold. We see only ornament, but actually it is gold. So this is our understanding. We try to understand what ornament it is, but actually we are understanding gold. So, or the screen is hidden behind all the movements. But if we want to see screen, we can see. So it is not covering like this covering, it is covering like notional covering. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Swamiji. Jai Maa.
Jai Ma.
Pranam.
Namaste, namaste. Jai Ma. Hari Om.
I still have one more question though.
Huh? Okay.
I still have one more question.
No, bolun. What is
Oh,
the
the,
question?
the,
তাড়াতাড়ি
so
বলবেন
the
আমার
sense
ছাত্র
organ,
সভা
Just a
the
minute.
sense organs are then coming from the Panchabhut.
Yeah, all are coming from Panchabhuta.
So because of the Panchikarana, so each organ can feel the other a little bit too, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Panchikarana, when it becomes grossified. But subtle, the same in subtle form. Okay, say like this. When you wake up in the morning, in the beginning you don't recognize anything, because it all merged in one thing. It's called causal. Then comes subtle. Then I have my mind, I have my intellect, and through that you want to know what is this. Oh, this is my table, this is my bed. Gradually you understand how this happens. And then again, when you go to sleep, first things come. Oh, I have to do tomorrow this one, and I have to go there. Gradually everything merges in your dream state, or it is a subtle state. Then it merges in your uh, causal state. So this every day it happens. But you are the consciousness. What happens? You identify with all this gross, subtle, and causal. And then you say, oh, Swamiji, I am suffering. And Swamiji also says, I am suffering. So this is because of identification. That is why if we can separate, it helps us even to outgrow the suffering. That means suffering will not touch me. Even I'll forget what is suffering, because I totally disown all the suffering. So this happens when we are established in that understanding, anchored in the self. Brahmani adhaya karmani, brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyatena sapapena padma patramivambasa. Like water on the lotus leaf, as if it is on it, but it is not tainted. Similarly, this world will be there, but you are not tainted by it. Even a person kills another, he is not killing. Na hanyate hanyamani shreje. It cannot be killed. But as of now, because we are engrossed here, we cannot think that way. We are to live a moral, spiritual life. Gradually we will be established in that. Thank you. Yeah, do not to hesitate. When it comes, this is the right time. Otherwise, we forget also. But when time comes, we must clarify. Okay, thank you. Jai Ma.
Pranam Maharaj.
Jai Ma.
Namaskar.